Hi, I'm Gordon from Camera Labs, and this is my first looks review of the Panasonic Lumix L10, a premium compact camera with a 4/3 sensor, 3x optical zoom, flip-out screen and viewfinder. Announced in May 2026 at the Lumix 25th anniversary event, it costs around $1,500 or £1,300 and is the long-awaited successor to the much-loved Lumix LX100 from 2019. It's available in black or silver, or for an extra $100 in the titanium gold finish you can see here, which also includes an automatic opening lens cap. I spent the day shooting with the L10, so for this initial first looks video, I'm going to show you what's new along with some sample photos and videos. I'll follow this up with a more detailed video soon. First things first, I'm not quite sure why it isn't called the LX100 or maybe even the L25 if it's commemorating the anniversary. After all, anyone who's been watching my channel since the start will know that Panasonic already had a Lumix L10 back in 2007, but that was a chunky DSLR. Either way, the new camera inherits the lens and some key features of the LX100, but also tweaks and substantially upgrades a number of others. Like its predecessors, the L10 employs a 4/3 sensor, but it's out with the old one from the GX9 and in with their latest from the Lumix GH7. This not only means a useful boost in photo resolution, but also much improved video and the crucial addition of phase detect autofocus. As before, the lens design means the imaging circle can't use the whole sensor area, but as my diagram from my earlier LX100 review shows, this does allow the camera to offer 3 different image shapes while maintaining the angle of view. So the 4x3 shape captures more height, but the 3x2 and 16:9 shapes genuinely capture greater width. Annoyingly though, the square 1:1 mode still takes the 4x3 shape and crops it when it could have actually just used a taller height and used more of the sensor. But at least by starting with a high resolution sensor, you are now ending up with a bigger image size of 20 megapixels versus 17 on the LX100. Meanwhile, the lens remains the same as before, delivering an equivalent range of 24 to 75mm with a bright f1.7 to 2.8 aperture and an impressive minimum focusing distance of just 3cm, along with optical stabilization. There still isn't a built-in ND filter, but I think you can fit 43mm filters to the end of the barrel, and I'll confirm that in a follow-up. As before, notice how the lens has a manual aperture ring, along with a smooth customizable ring, but the switch closest to the camera is now labelled 1, 2 and 3. Now this still adjusts the aspect ratio as before by default, but can now be customized. Meanwhile, on the side is a switch for autofocus, macro autofocus and manual focus. The standard camera comes with a normal lens cap, but the gold titanium version is supplied with the automatic accessory where protective flaps are pushed out of the way during power up, before then folding back again as it's switched off. All very convenient, and I hope it's also available as an accessory for the standard models. On the top panel, the old dedicated shutter speed dial has been switched for a PASM dial with 5 custom positions along with intelligent auto. The fastest mechanical shutter is 0.002 of a second, while the electronic shutter can fire as fast as 32,000th of a second. Meanwhile, a new small switch on the rear selects between stills, video or S&Q modes. Also note the exposure compensation dial of the LX100 has now been switched for a control dial with a custom button in the middle, while the shutter release on the titanium gold version here is also threaded for use with a mechanical cable release. Round the back, the L10 has received 2 substantial upgrades for composition. First, the screen is now side hinged and fully articulated, allowing you to face it forward for easier vlogs, presentations or selfies, while the old field sequential viewfinder panel, which shimmered horribly for my eyes, has mercifully been swapped for an OLED, which delivers a much steadier image. The new panel has 0.74 times magnification and 2.36 million dots. Sure, it's quite small, but it is very steady and I was very happy with it. Please can we have one on a Mark II version of the S9? And the L10 also considerately turns the shooting information to remain upright when taking photos or videos in the vertical orientation. Nice one. Can we have that on the bigger Lumix cameras now please? In terms of rear controls, there's a tiltable thumb wheel, but sadly still no joystick, so to move the AF area you'll either need to use the touchscreen or the buttons. Also beware, it's still quite possible to move that AF area with your nose when the touchscreen's visible, so you may want to switch off that function or flip it back on itself. On the left side there's 2 flaps, the upper one housing the useful addition of a 3.5mm microphone input, which coupled with the forward facing screen makes it much more suitable for vlogging than before. Below this is a USB-C port for charging, data transfer, or to use the camera as a USB webcam. There isn't an HDMI port, but at least there is a fully featured hot shoe that can use all the accessories. Below the camera are two compartments. Interestingly, the SD slot has its own to the left of the tripod thread, while to the right is the battery compartment, with the L10 powered by the same BLK22 as recent Lumix S cameras, so plenty of life for you there. From the photo style menus, you'll find a wealth of options including new L Classic and L Classic Gold, as well as a variety of monochrome modes and full V-Log for anyone who wants to grade, or LUTs for easy application of profiles in camera. Suffice it to say, the new sensor and image processor also mean a substantial boost in video performance, with the L10 offering uncropped 1080 from 24 to 240p, 4K from 24 to 120p, and even a 4x3 shaped open gate option. Remember, 4K on the LX100 II was cropped. There's also MOV, MP4 and MP4 Lite codecs to choose from, and the option to film in 10-bit 422 in some modes, and again in V-Log if you like. Alright, let's now have a look at some footage filmed with the L10, all handheld, starting with the optical zoom range, where the motorized zoom is nice and smooth, although you can change its speed from the menus. Now for a focusing test with the lens set to the macro AF mode, and a single AF area in the middle. I've got the lens zoomed to 24mm f1.7 here as I move closer to the subject, before moving back and forth to check the focusing pulls. All of these clips were filmed in 4K 30p. How about a moving person? This was filmed at the other end of the range at 75mm 2.8, using the full AF coverage and with human detection. This gives you an idea of the potential for shallow depth of field effects with this lens. With the flip out screen, phase detect autofocus and mic input, the L10 also becomes much more practical for vlogging, although you will need to be careful if you're walking. Here's an example using optical stabilization alone, where it's a bit more wobbly than say the IBIS on the other Lumix bodies. And now with optical and optional digital stabilization, which does incur a crop, I'd still say it's looking a bit wobbly here, so I'd recommend taking more care when vlogging handheld than I did here, or of course using a gimbal. Your mileage will of course vary. There's also plenty of opportunity for slow motion capture, with these clips filmed in 4K 120 and slowed by 4 times on this timeline. It's amazing to look at the video options on the L10 compared to the LX100 II, although to be fair, 7 years have passed on since then. Now I've not had a chance yet to test overheating, but Panasonic quotes around 20 minutes of 4K 30 when thermal management is set to high, so it's not going to be a camera for long form video recording, but it should still be fine for shorter clips. Now for some sample photos as I wrap up this initial first looks video. The Lumix L10 becomes a very welcome new player in a market hungry for premium compacts. On the surface, it does what we all asked for, namely coupling the lovely lens of the earlier LX100s with an updated sensor. And while you still don't get to use the whole sensor area, the L10 sensor from the GH7 still brings a small boost in photo resolution, hugely improved video options, and the crucial upgrade of more confident phase detect autofocus. Plus the image processor to go with it means all the latest features and picture profiles. Now it would have been easy to leave it at that, but I'm delighted Panasonic has also equipped the L10 with a flip out screen, and I'm really relieved that the viewfinder has switched to a far superior OLED panel. Plus there's a microphone input and a fully featured hot shoe too. In fact, there's very little to complain about. I do think the L10 would have greatly benefited from a joystick, but beyond that, it's nitpicking about whether they should have recycled an old model name when surely LX103 would have sufficed. Price-wise, it also looks competitive, and it'll be interesting to compare it side by side against models like the Fujifilm X100VI. Sure, the X100VI has a larger and more detailed sensor and uses all of it too, and couples it with IBIS, but the L10 fights back with a zoom lens that starts wider and ends longer, while also sporting a screen that can flip forward and way more video features and a comfortably lower price tag. My first impressions are that it'll be a big success, so if you're interested you may want to get that pre-order in sooner rather than later. It should go on sale around June 2026, and I've got links to the best deals below. PS, place the L10 next to the Lumix S9 and you'll see that they share very similar looking bodies. I really hope that they can squeeze that viewfinder into the corner of a successor to the S9, but please do give it a joystick as well. And that's it for this first looks review. I hope you found it useful and would love to hear what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.